Hello again, it's Hoop with Carport Hell, Chapter 3. The installers arrive. A few days after we had the Sam conversation, they called and said, "Oh, your installers are scheduled and they should be there Thursday-ish." It's about Tuesday. They'll be there Thursday between 9 and 11, and they'll call you before they get there. So at about 6:30, I go down for a cup of coffee, and no sooner get there, and I get a call from the wife in a panic that the installers are already there unloading the thing at 7 o'clock in the morning. No call, no nothing. Anyway, I run back, no problem. There's two Mexicans. These are probably the heroes to the whole thing. Really incredible workers and really know their stuff. So I hate to keep showing you the same picture, but this explains a lot. Now, as you can see, this is the skeleton of the carport. So they put all these pieces together, and you see the little angly things here and the things up there. That's the extra, I think, $250, $300 for the 130-mile-an-hour heavy-duty wind bracing. That's what that is. It's just little pieces of angle iron, screwed to there. So they screw all these together, and they put the two pieces here down the dirt. Those are the bases, and there's little posts on them for these things to fit on. Well, what I had heard, I thought I heard them say, James, was that these two sides have to be level within 3 inches or so. They can tolerate 3 inches of each other. That's not what he meant. The two Mexicans put all of these things together just like you see them, and then took out the level. And they checked the structure for level, and it was like 3 inches this way to this way and from here to there, but it was almost 10 inches off from here to there. And you could see that this is on quite a slope going uphill that way. It was almost 10 inches uphill. So they said, "What do we do about leveling this?" And I said, I'm to the understanding that you're going to level it. He said, "Well, we're going to have to dig a 10 to 12 inch trench down this side to get it to match that side right there. Or we can build this side up." So they went and scavenged wood that they'd brought with them and stuff that I had and jacked this thing up a foot till it's a foot off the ground. This is the 4 inches that I dug down to level it to itself. Well, that was the part I didn't understand. The head Mexican, I can't come up with his name right now, but I'll get it to you. He says, "All right, we're going to have to level this. How would you like to pay for that?" And I said, "Well, I already have agreed to pay for everything, walk away." He said, "No, the leveling is not included. That's $300 cash today to level. How would you like to pay for that?" And I said, "Well, wait a minute. No, there's no $300. And he says, "Well, it's going to take us hours to dig that trench down or jack this side up." Well, they start jacking it up and with bars and whatever, and it's sticking up way up out of the ground. I said, "Is this going to pass inspection?" He goes, "Absolutely not. There's no way." And I said, "Well, why are we doing it then?" He says, "Well, because we got to get it level, or we can't screw the panels to the skeleton. Nothing will fit." And I said, "Well, how about we dig down the other side?" So the high side of the thing, we started digging the trench. That was a pain. It's sandy, gravelly soil that's like cement when it's dry, and it's like jello when it's wet. It's dry. Finally, he says, I told him I'd help out, so we got him all the way down to $200 cash that day to level, because I'm on a mission now. I'm going to get this thing installed one way or the other. So we agreed at $200, start digging. Then the helper pipes up and says, "Hey, you know what we ought to do? We ought to just cut the upper posts off here, just cut the 10 inches off of there." And it was between 10 and 10 and a quarter, and it'll level the whole thing right up. I guess I wasn't smart enough at the time to realize that's what they do to level these things. And I didn't realize it till I ran down and got the $200 in cash to pay him, and had agreed to pay him. But I needed to get the skeletons up. What are you going to do? Say, no, I don't want it, go home, or take it away? That was the only other option. So I got whacked out of the $200. I'll admit it. It was my fault. I thought I heard him correctly. I did not. They put all of that together, in 45 minutes, they cut every one of those posts off and had it in the ground in no time. They just whacked them off like nothing. And it leveled up perfectly. And that is another pitfall that you have to watch out for. Then, I worked high structural iron up to 700 foot before, but I am not half as crazy as these two Mexicans are putting this framework together. And we'll get to that in a bit. Now, before they were going to put the metal over the skeleton, they anchored the unit down to the ground. So they took out probably more than a dozen, about 3-foot pieces of rebar that had been pounded over on the end to look like a large 3-foot nail. And you can see it here, right there, from there to there. That's one of them. And he's pounding one of them in the ground with a sledgehammer. But this is North Carolina, and it's beautiful sandy soil. You could have pounded them in with a broken fingernail. They were very easy to pound in with a sledgehammer. And he pounded them all in to anchor the unit to the ground, and I said, wow, they go in awfully easy. How good are they for anchoring this building down? And he said, well, maybe in dirt or regular soil they're fair, but in sandy soil they're pretty much worthless. And I said, well, how long are they going to hold this building down? And they said, well, if the wind doesn't blow, they'll easily hold this building down till we can get packed up and leave. And I said, well, what holds the carport down normally? He says, well, normally they would sell you the mobile home anchors that'll anchor in the ground. They're a screw-in anchor, and that's the $400 for the 6 of the ones that they had. And I said, oh my goodness, how long does that take to put those in, because it's $400. And he says, it's going to take at least 20 minutes, maybe a half an hour, because we have a tool that just drives them in the ground. I guess, like an idiot, I says, well, what good are these anchors? And he said, not a dang thing. The first time you get over a 30-mile-an-hour wind, this thing's ripping out of the ground. And I said, wait a minute, it's certified to 130 miles an hour with heavy-duty bracing. And he showed me the bracing that I showed you, and he said, yes, the building is certified to 130 miles an hour, but the anchors are not certified at all. They're just here to hold the building in place while we install. You need the heavy-duty RV anchors. And I says, I'm not paying another $400. Or I says, how do I pay for that? And he says, you pay us cash today and we put them in for you. And I said, I am not doing that. There must be another way. He said, well, run down to Lowe's, and for $16 you can buy those anchors and put them in yourself. And they are a pain to put in, but then you drill a hole and bolt them with a grade 5 bolt, and this thing will never go anywhere. Okay, so here is an RV anchor, and this is the top. That's just a cluster I've put together. So that's the 4 that you get for $400. I said 6, but you only get 4. That is a 3-foot rod with a screw-in bottom. And they take an auger machine, hook it up to the top of that, and just drive them right in the ground. They're beautiful. And that's what holds a mobile home down to the ground through hurricanes as best as possible. That's what I needed. I need 4 of them for $16 a piece. At a later time, after the thing is all the way up, well, I'll get to that too, because after the carport was up, about 4 days later, we had a 30-mile-an-hour wind, and in wondering how those anchors were holding up, the ones that were put in, I went out, and they were all anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to an inch pulled out of the ground already with just a 30-mile-an-hour wind. they'd never have taken a 60-mile-an-hour wind, and we get those in North Carolina. So I dug them down later, 3 foot in the ground, and then put from here down a foot of concrete mushroom on the bottom to make sure they're never coming out of that ground. The ground will come up first.